Yes, respectable. Prudent makes good decisions. I have to repeat everything because the camera can't hear all y'all. Respectable. Conducts himself in an honorable way. Look, if you've got a great pastor with a wonderful personality, great knowledge of the Word, really good people skills, and he shows up every Sunday dressed like a goth, you've got a problem. Respectable. Hospitable. Makes people feel welcome. Able to teach. Every single elder, regardless of his particular gifting package, must be at least minimally able to climb into this pulpit and teach. Or he shouldn't be serving in that capacity. Not addicted to wine. I assume that's obvious. No alcoholics, please. That is no functioning alcoholics. If you're dried up, fine. The Lord's got you past it. Not pugnacious. What's pugnacious? What's pugnacious?
Somebody who's
just in your face, okay? Just in your face, and bouncy and self-important, and you know, Pugs the dog breed. Great name for the breed. They are pugnacious. Not pugnacious, but gentle. You want a guy, even if you're calling a prophet, okay? You want a guy whose first instinct is not to get out the Uzi and blitz the room. Peaceable. A peacemaker. Free from the love of money. He must be, verse 4, one who manages his own household well, keeping his children under control with all dignity. Pause. Most of you are parents, so I'm going to speak to you in that context. For the record, I am not a parent. You know that, they don't. So I'm not presuming to tell you how to parent, but speaking on that level, how difficult it is to raise children who always obey and please, and who seek to bring honor to their parents. It is just profoundly difficult. Profoundly. I know that. Now then, how do you expect your pastor, regardless of his gifting, to react if your 14-year-old goes off the rails? How do you want him to react? You call him up, you tell him what's going on. Your 14-year-old just got arrested or something, okay? You are freaking. How do you want your pastor to react? One would hope with kindness, yes. With some understanding, yes. With a desire to help. Without dumping judgment on you, yes. Are you responsible for how your kids turn out? Think carefully. Biblically, are you responsible before God for how your kids turn out? No. You're responsible for how you raise them. You're responsible to place around them godly scriptures. Train them up in the way of the Lord. And if they choose to fly off and disobey you, and disobey the Lord, and live in wickedness, that is not on you. May I suggest to you that this text does not give you permission to beat the snot out of your pastor if one of his kids goes off the rails. May I suggest a gentle and gracious approach. But, as a general principle, what this text is saying is an elder must give attention to his family so as to be a husband to his wife, a father to his children, and make that a key priority. Because if he doesn't make that a key priority, even above and beyond the church, he shouldn't be serving in ministry. And may I suggest to you that a great many godly, wonderful pastors and preachers have done well in the pulpit and done well nowhere else. Because the church has pressured them to perform in ministry, to do what's right for the ministry, and the family have just taken the hit. Again and again and again. Don't do that to the man. Because you put him between a rock and a hard place, and he'll never be able to get out. Why? Because verse 5, if verse 4 is hard, look at 5. But if a man does not know how to manage his own household, how can he possibly take care of the church of God? There is a sense in which, and the implication is here, although it's not stated overtly, but I just want to tie them together for you. There's a sense in which the stuff you need to know to make you a good husband and father is the stuff you need to know. You're a good pastor. You're going to take care of other people's families. You need to understand how to take care of your own family. And there's a sense in which your own marriage and your own parenting experience becomes part of the crucible in which God prepares and trains the pastor to serve others. And then, verse 6. He must not be a new convert, so that he will not become conceited and fall into the condemnation incurred by the devil. That is mostly not a problem for us today. Because the truth is, in our westernized culture, you wouldn't even look at a guy who hasn't been through Bible school. Probably. You wouldn't look at a guy who hasn't already been in the kingdom for a number of years and has a resume several pages thick. Chances are, most evangelical churches, that would certainly be true. In Paul's context, he's got a baby church on his hand. And he's telling the pastor of that baby church, you've got baby Christians in your baby church. I want you to find the best and most mature men among them. You're going to appoint elders in this church. We're going to see that in Titus 1 in a while. And you need to be careful that when you're appointing elders, you're not appointing baby Christians. Even if they're fairly young, only a year or two into the kingdom, they need to have demonstrated clear, mature discipline. Now, here's why it is relevant to you, even in our culture. What do you do with the 21-year-old, 21, who started Bible college at the age of 18, he has just graduated, or maybe he's just about to graduate with his Bachelor of Religious something or other. He is desperate to find a church. You are desperate to find a pastor. Match made in heaven? Maybe not. There is a great deal of wisdom and maturity and sensitivity that has to go into the post of a leading elder in the church. What happens when a leading elder lacks maturity? Well, two things. Firstly, he is more likely to stumble into sin, and that will ruin the ministry. And secondly, he is more likely to be less wise in dealing with people. What do pastors spend a lot of their time doing, especially the shepherd varieties? Dealing with people's hurts. And if you put an immature minister into that context, the people are going to get hurt badly. And he must have a good reputation with those outside the church so that he will not fall into reproach and the snare of the devil. Remember the devil's goal? The devil's goal is not to get you to fire your pastor necessarily. The devil's goal is to get your pastor to mess up in sin so that he will destroy his witness and your witness before them. So a pastor, and I speak now not of the shepherd necessarily, but anybody who stands in this pulpit, the leading elder, needs to be a person who has a good reputation among non-believers. What non-believers think of the guy standing in this pulpit matters.